Hello once again. We're coming to you from the downtown business district, and today's topic is Box and Whisker Plot. So let's begin. This presentation 3.1, and note the development team down below here. To illustrate the concepts involved, we have here a sample of n equal 22 subjects, and we record their triglyceride levels. And those levels appear here from small to large. We want to evolve some statistics. The maximum, of course, is 160. The minimum is 10. And the mode is the most frequent item in the data, and that's 94. The range, of course, is the max minus the min, the actual distance between the high and the low, 150. And this is effectively the numeric value associated with that is the range. Mid-range is the average of the two max and mins. 85, that's midway between the max and min. And the median, of course, is the middle item, or the average of the two middle items if there's an even number. Now in this case, 22 items mean there's 11 on each side. There's no middle one, but it's the average of the two middle ones, which in this case is 92. The first quartile represents the data value, below which at least 25% of the data will fall. And here's a calculation here, 1/4 of 22, 5.5. Whenever we have a fraction, we round up to the next item, the sixth item, and that becomes Q1 is 60. Second quartile is the data point below which 50% of the data will fall. That's 1/2 of 22. Now, since this is an even number, since this is a whole number, we average the 11th and 12th items. And again, this is the same as the median above is 92. The third quartile is the data value below which at least 75% of the data will fall. Of course, this 16.5. Again, whenever there's a fraction, you round up to the 17th item, which in this case is 121. Interquartile range is the distance between Q3 and Q1. The difference is, in this case, 61. And these 5 values are called the 5-numbered summary, and they serve to characterize the box plot, called the Box and Whisker Plot, which you'll see here in just a few moments. And we're going to just review here. We have the data labels now. We put X1, X2, X3 in the upper row here, associated with the numbers. And here we have we've recorded the number line, and we've attached the numbers 10 to 160 in increments of 25. Now each data point, 25 unit intervals. And each data point, each tick mark here is 2.5 units. Now the distance between Q1 and Q2 rather, that contains 25% of the data. Q2 to Q3 again 25%. So this is the box, and here's the left whisker, 25%, and the right whisker is also 25%. And this range between Q1 and Q3 is called the interquartile range. In this case is 61. So this interquartile range, the middle 50% of the data, is a measure of the variability. So that if we have a data set with an IQR of 61 versus IQR of 40, we can see the second set here, IQR of 40, is much more tightly congested than is the IQR of 61. Now we're going to look at outliers. Given the data set here, we are labeling these values, Q1, Q2, Q3, and max. This IQR, Q3 minus Q1, is 16. Now if we measure out these IQRs on the right here, so each of these are 16 units, one IQR, 2, and 3. And we're saying now, if you take Q3 and add 1.5 IQR, which is about right here, anything beyond that is a mild outlier. Q3 plus 1.5 IQR amounts to 172. So we need data points above 172 are referred to as mild outliers. On the other hand, if you go 3 IQRs above Q3, we have an extreme outlier out here, 148 plus 3 IQRs, 196. Now since 202 is a data item above this, this is said to be a high extreme outlier. On the left side, if we take Q1 minus 1.5 IQRs, the data point is 108, and you can see there's no values out there. So there are no low mild outliers. In a similar way, going 3 IQRs below Q1, and there are no low extreme outliers. Now this is an illustration of box plots in use. This is the fat content of 3 types of foods: hot dogs, chicken, and fish. And you can see here the fat content of hot dogs is higher and more varied than is chicken, and it is much higher, of course, than fish. So if you're choosing a food and you want low fat content, for sure go with the chicken. Now we're going to look at hot dogs here. We go IQR, measure 3 of them above Q3, and we can see that 1.5 IQRs up here. There is a mild outlier, but there is something close to extreme, but you wouldn't say this is extreme outlier because it's within the 3 IQRs above Q3. And finally, we're going to look at percentiles. We're going to just redo this Q3 again. Third quartile, 3/4 of 22, 16.5. Round up to the 17th item, 121. Now we're going to look at the 80th percentile, and we have here the 80th percentile is the data value, below which at least 80% of the data will fall. So we need to know what that P80 is, the 80th percentile. So we take 80 over 100 times 22, 17.6, round up to 18, and the 18th item is 126. The amount of data below that point, less than or equal to, is 80%. And finally, note that P25, the 25th percentile, is Q1, 50th percentile is Q2 rather, and P75 is Q3. And that's the end of presentation 3.1. We ask you to take notes, once again, review it, and go on to presentation 3.2.